All right, let's dive into Amazon SageMaker Unified Studio.
Specifically, Bedrock IDE.
We're talking pages 192 to 306 of the AWS documentation.
Yeah, that's where all the juicy details about Bedrock are.
It's like our guide to building cool generative AI apps.
Everything from simple chatbots.
For those more complex AI workflows.
You got it.
SageMaker Studio is kind of like a central hub for all things data science, right?
That's a good way to put it.
It's more than just building apps.
It brings together data analytics, AI, and machine learning all in one place.
So it's like a one-stop shop for everything.
Exactly. It streamlines your entire workflow.
Okay, but let's get to the heart of it, Bedrock IDE.
Okay, so you want to know what makes it so special?
Yeah, especially for someone who wants to build those generative AI applications everyone's talking about.
Well, imagine having a toolkit designed specifically for creating applications that can generate
Things like text, images.
videos, even music. That's Bedrock IDE.
That's a lot of creative power.
It gives you the ability to build both chat agents.
Those are like the AI bots you see everywhere.
Right, there's conversational AI bots and then Flow app.
Flow apps, those are for creating those dynamic workflows, right?
Exactly, with AI at their core.
Okay, I get chatbots, those are everywhere.
Sure.
But flow apps, those sound next level.
They can be?
Can you give me a real-world example of what someone could build with a flow app?
Let's say you need to create product descriptions for an online store with hundreds of items.
That sounds tedious,
It can be.
especially if you have to write each one manually.
A Flow app could take the product data as input
Oh.
and then use a text generation model
To do what?
to write those descriptions for you.
Wow, that's efficient.
And you can even personalize them based on user preferences.
So instead of spending hours writing descriptions, you could have an AI do the work.
It's a huge time saver.
And probably a game changer for businesses.
It is.
Okay, but we need models to build all this, right?
Right. And that's where the model catalog comes in.
Model catalog, that's what pages 192 to 306 are about.
Right. They are.
So what is it exactly?
Well, think of it like a treasure chest.
Okay.
It's full of pre-trained serverless models.
So we don't have to build them from scratch?
Nope. These are powerful foundation models.
From different providers?
Yes. And ready to be adapted for all sorts of tasks.
Like text generation, image creation, what else?
Pretty much anything you can think of.
So it's like having a team of AI experts on call.
Exactly. Ready to help you build your dream application.
This is starting to sound pretty powerful.
It is.
But before I jump into building a full-fledged app, can I play around with this a bit?
You absolutely can.
I see something called playgrounds in the documentation.
Aha!
Are those what I think they are?
They are your risk-free zone for experimentation.
Like a sandbox.
You can test out different models,
Okay.
tweak parameters.
And see how those changes impact the output.
Exactly, in real time.
Cool. So it's like test driving different AI before deciding what to use.
It's a great way to get comfortable with the technology.
But real-world applications need real-world data.
They do.
How do we bring that into Bedrock IDE?
That's where knowledge bases come in.
Knowledge bases.
Think of them as the brains behind your AI applications.
So they're pretty important.
They're essential for building real-world applications.
How do they work?
They let you integrate all kinds of external data sources.
Like what?
Anything from local files.
Like a spreadsheet on my computer?
Yes, exactly.
Like to
data pulled in from web crawlers.
Hold on, web crawlers?
Yeah.
So my AI can go out and gather information from the internet.
It can.
That sounds both incredibly powerful and slightly terrifying.
It is a game changer.
For sure. Imagine a chatbot that can access the latest news articles
Or a Flow app that pulls in financial data.
for real-time analysis.
Yes. The possibilities are pretty mind-blowing.
Okay, we're moving from basic chatbots to something way more sophisticated.
We are.
But with all this power, we need some safety measures, right?
Right.
I don't want my AI going off the rails.
And that's where guardrails come in.
Guardrails, like virtual fences to keep my AI in check.
That's one way to think about it.
So it's all about responsible AI development, right?
It is. You want to make sure your applications are used for good.
Okay, so we have the tools to build powerful AI applications,
We do.
a way to integrate real-world data
Uh-huh.
and safety measures to keep everything in check.
Sounds like you've got it.
Now, how do we actually create one of these chat agent apps?
Well, let's look at that playlist creation example.
Yeah, I like that one. It's easy to understand.
Perfect. So first, you'd pick a model from the model catalog.
One that's good at generating text.
Exactly, especially in a music context.
And we feed it some data.
Right. You got it, like that CSV file with all the song details we mentioned earlier.
That becomes our knowledge base, right?
It does. It gives the chatbot a library of songs to work with.
Okay, then what?
Then you can use something called inference parameters to fine-tune the model.
Inference parameters.
Think of them like knobs and dials that control how creative the responses are.
So we're training the model to understand our specific needs, not just relying on some generic output.
Exactly, you're catching on quickly.
And of course, we set up guardrails
Of course.
to make sure the chatbot stays on track and avoids any unwanted content.
Right.
So we've built our basic chat agent app.
Yep.
What's next? Do we just release it into the wild?
Not quite. You need to test it out.
Of course, make sure it's working as intended.
You want to see how it responds to different prompts.
And make adjustments as needed.
It's all about iteration and refinement.
Like training a puppy, you got to give it clear instructions.
And reward good behavior.
And correct any mistakes.
Exactly.
Speaking of training, what about those more complex flow apps we talked about?
Those are next.
They sound like they require a bit more than a simple chatbot.
Flow apps are where things get really interesting.
I'm intrigued.
Remember those visual workflows we mentioned?
Yeah, connecting different AI components like prompts, models, knowledge bases.
Right, to create dynamic multi-step processes.
It sounded pretty futuristic.
Like building an AI assembly line.
It kind of does.
So imagine building a flow app that takes a user's preferred genre as input, queries the song database, and then uses a text generation model to create a playlist.
Based on their taste.
Exactly. It's like having a personal AI DJ at your fingertips.
Okay, I'm starting to see how flow apps can be used to build some pretty impressive applications.
They can be incredibly powerful.
But with all these interconnected components, it seems like it could get pretty complicated.
It can.
What if we need to go back and make changes?
That's where Amazon Bedrock IDE really shines.
How so?
It automatically versions your apps as you work.
So you could do what?
View, compare, and even restore previous versions.
That's a relief. I can just imagine making a change and completely messing things up.
It happens.
Being able to go back to a previous version is a lifesaver.
It is.
So we've built our app, tested it,
Yep.
maybe even had to roll back a few changes.
It's all part of the process.
Now what?
Now it's time to unleash your AI creation on the world.
How do we do that?
Amazon makes that surprisingly easy.
How so?
You can export your app as a zip file,
Okay.
which includes everything you need to deploy it to an AWS account.
Everything.
Everything you need.
Like what?
You get CloudFormation templates.
What are those?
Think of them like blueprints for deploying infrastructure on AWS.
So like servers, databases, all that behind the scenes stuff.
Exactly.
And what else is included?
You also get IAM policies.
Those are for security and permissions. Right?
Exactly.
Making sure only the right people have access.
Right. And you get deployment scripts.
Automate the process.
Right. And even open API schemas.
What are those for?
Those are for integrating your app with other systems.
So I download the zip file,
Yep.
deploy it to my AWS account, and my AI app is live.
You got it.
Just like that.
Once you deploy those CloudFormation templates, your app will run as a Node.js app in the cloud.
Ready for users to access? This is pretty incredible.
It is.
We've gone from understanding the basics of Amazon SageMaker Unified Studio
And Bedrock IDE.
to actually deploying a full-fledged generative AI application.
And we've only just scratched the surface.
This is pretty mind-blowing.
It is.
But before we get lost in a world of AI-powered playlists and all that,
Sure.
I want to make sure we're not overlooking something crucial.
What's that?
We've talked about the power of generative AI,
Yeah,
but what about responsibility?
that's a big one.
How do we make sure these applications are used ethically?
It's something Amazon has thought about with Bedrock IDE.
How so?
Remember those guardrails we talked about?
Yeah, those virtual fences.
Those are just one layer of protection.
I have more.
There are tools for monitoring your applications.
So we can keep an eye on how they're behaving.
Exactly. You can track their behavior and identify any potential issues.
So it's not just about setting up safeguards during development.
Nope.
It's also about making sure our AI creations are behaving once they're out in the wild
It's about ongoing vigilance.
and making sure they're being used as intended.
Exactly.
So it goes beyond just technical measures.
It does.
It's about ethical guidelines, transparency with users.
And constantly evaluating the impact of these applications.
It sounds like responsible AI development is about human oversight as much as technical safeguards.
Absolutely. We have a responsibility to use this technology wisely.
And make sure it benefits society as a whole.
You got it.
Okay, I'm glad we addressed that.
Me too.
Now, before we dive into those flow apps,
Okay.
there's one more feature I want to highlight.
Which one is that?
It's all about refining your creations and making sure they're delivering the best possible results.
Sounds intriguing.
It's called app history.
App history. Okay.
Think of it as a detailed record of everything that happens within your application.
Everything.
Every prompt, every response, every data point accessed,
It's all logged.
it's all there, easily accessible.
So it's like a black box recorder for my AI,
You could say
capturing every interaction and decision.
that's incredibly valuable for understanding how your app is performing.
It is. You can filter and search through those interactions,
So you can identify patterns.
spot potential issues, and really understand how your app is behaving.
It's like having a magnifying glass for your AI.
Great analogy.
You can zoom in and analyze its every move.
So if your playlist app keeps recommending the same few songs,
I can see exactly what's happening.
you can check the prompts, the data, and see if the model needs tweaking.
App history gives you those insights to improve your app's performance,
It's like having a personal AI coach.
guiding you to create the best possible applications.
That's a great way to put it.
This is starting to feel less like building an AI and more like raising a child.
I can see that.
You need to provide guidance, monitor behavior, and make adjustments along the way.
There are definitely parallels.
But the beauty of Bedrock IDE is it provides the tools to make that process much smoother.
You're not alone in this journey.
You have the platform, the documentation, and the AWS community to help you.
It's a great community.
Okay, so we've covered building chat agent apps,
We have.
touched on the power of Flow apps,
We did.
discussed responsible AI development,
An important topic.
and learned about the magic of app history.
A lot of ground covered.
I feel like I could actually build something impressive with this platform.
You absolutely can.
And that's what's so exciting about Bedrock IDE.
It really is.
It empowers anyone, regardless of their technical background,
to explore generative AI.
and create applications that were once the stuff of science fiction.
I agree.
Now that we've laid the groundwork, I'm ready to dive into those Flow apps
Okay, let's do it.
and see what kind of magic we can create.
I think you'll be amazed by what you can build.
All right, so we've explored the ins and outs of Bedrock IDE, from those playful playgrounds to the power of Flow apps. But you know me, I'm all about practical application. Let's talk real-world scenarios. How are businesses actually using this tech to solve problems and make waves?
One area that's really exploding is content creation. Imagine a marketing team drowning in product descriptions for an online store with thousands of items.
Yeah, I can see that getting old fast.
They could use Bedrock IDE to whip up a Flow app that takes product data, think features, specs, and churns out compelling, unique descriptions for each item.
So instead of burning out their writers, they've got an AI assistant handling the grunt work. That frees up the team for more creative campaigns, right?
Yes, exactly. But it goes beyond just marketing copy. Think about news organizations that need to generate different versions of the same story for various platforms. Social media snippets, website articles, even audio summaries for podcasts.
Wow, that's a serious efficiency boost. But wouldn't that make journalists nervous about job security?
It's a valid concern, but think of it this way. AI can handle the information gathering and basic structuring, letting journalists focus on the in-depth analysis, interviews, and the unique voice that makes their work stand out.
So it's about elevating human skills, not replacing them. I like that. Now, what about industries beyond the content world? How is Bedrock IDE making an impact in fields like healthcare?
Healthcare is ripe for disruption. Imagine a Flow app that analyzes medical images, x-rays, scans to flag potential issues for a radiologist's review.
That could save so much time and potentially catch things a human might miss.
Exactly. It's like having an extra set of highly trained eyes, leading to faster diagnosis and treatment.
Okay, that's impressive. But we have to acknowledge the elephant in the room, the ethical considerations. We've talked about guardrails. But how do we ensure these AI applications are used responsibly, especially in sensitive fields like healthcare?
Transparency is key. Patients should know when AI is involved in their diagnosis or treatment plan, and rigorous testing is essential to ensure these systems are accurate, reliable, and free from bias.
So it's about building trust in these systems, not just blindly deploying them without oversight.
Absolutely, and it's not just on the developers, it's on businesses, regulators, and society as a whole to create ethical frameworks and ensure AI is used for good.
This has been a fascinating journey into the world of Bedrock IDE. We've gone from understanding the core features to exploring real-world applications and grappling with the ethical implications. What's the key takeaway you want our listener to walk away with?
Bedrock IDE is a powerful tool for anyone who wants to harness the power of generative AI, whether you're a seasoned developer or just starting out. It's about democratizing access to this technology, allowing anyone to build innovative solutions to real-world problems.
But it's not just about the tech, it's about using it responsibly and thoughtfully.
Exactly. As you embark on your AI journey, remember to keep ethics at the forefront and never stop learning and evolving alongside this incredible technology.
This has been an incredible deep dive into Amazon SageMaker Unified Studio and Bedrock IDE. We've covered so much, from playful playgrounds to the potential of Flow apps, from real-world applications to the ethical considerations that should guide us. We hope you're feeling inspired and ready to embark on your own AI adventure.
And remember, the power to shape the future is in your hands. So go out there, experiment, create, and build the world you want to see. Happy building!